Afternoon, Thomas. So here we are for our monthly chat about the Left Property campaign.
Yeah.
So who have we been helping this month, Thomas?
Yeah, so this month we've helped a couple who had sort of 14 years of undeclared income going back. Um, they had some losses in those years, so obviously we were able to bring some of those to forward to sort of help with not having any tax to pay in those years, and we also were able to sort of help save them tax using various different things that we put in into the accounts to help our clients save tax.
Excellent. And how much return on investment did they get out of that then?
So their fee to do the 14 years was 4,000 plus VAT. And over those 14 years, we managed to save them £10,500 in tax, interest, and penalties. So more than double what they paid, which is
Yeah,
good.
nice. That's why we have our success guarantee, isn't it, really? So,
Yeah,
and they are happy customers, you see, as well, isn't it? That's what we like, isn't
yeah,
it? Making a
yeah,
difference.
definitely.
Yeah. So moving on to any frequently asked questions we may have had lately. Is there anything
Um,
you noticed?
yeah, so lately we've had a few people come to us who've um, so there's like couples who maybe one of them has declared all of the income for a property or declared their share of the income for the property. Um, and they've come to us and been like, oh, we didn't realize that we both had to declare it. So, like these people who jointly own a property, one of them's declared all of it. They shouldn't really have done that. So, um, yeah, it's a thing that's been quite common recently where we've had these people who have one's declared and the other one hasn't, and it seems to be a problem that's becoming more common with people that approach us.
Is this because they've suddenly realised or because the HMRC have realised mostly?
Um, I think it's a bit of both. I think we've had a few have been prompted because of it, but we've also had a few who've sort of realised for one reason or another, whether it's sorting out their own tax affairs or sort of reading up online, they've realised that they've been doing it wrong the whole time and needed to do something about it. So it's really 50-50 as to whether they've been prompted or not. But um, yeah, it's definitely a problem that's becoming more prominent.
And what does it mean for prompted? For viewers who maybe haven't watched one of these meetings before, what does it mean to them if they're prompted?
So if somebody's received a letter from HMRC, either from the Let Property campaign or an inquiry letter, which will, we have a video that sort of shows the differences. But um, if they've received a letter from HMRC saying like, oh, you've got income from property but haven't been declaring it, that means they've sort of been prompted by HMRC, whereas people who are unprompted are people who approach HMRC first, and yeah, they basically get to HMRC before HMRC get to them.
And does it normally cost them more money if they're prompted?
Um, no, so we don't charge any extra for being prompted. It's just the only difference is if they're a sort of late inquiry that's urgent, we might add a slight additional fee on that. But uh, yeah, it's no additional charge for being prompted. It's the fees mainly based on the number of years submitted and uh, sort of how much work is involved with the
But
disclosure.
that's us, but does HMRC charge them more?
So the penalties can be. It's mainly the main difference is for the penalties. So the penalties can be slightly higher for people who are prompted. It's not a significant difference, but it is a difference. But it's better to be unprompted than prompted for sure. So if you're someone who hasn't declared your income and know you need to, but you haven't received a letter, it's definitely best to get to HMRC first.
Yeah, fair enough. And we're coming up, we're mid-March now, so have we noticed any particular pattern at this time of year in March?
So we've noticed that well, obviously people are still getting these prompt letters. So um, the last few months has definitely picked up with the number of people getting letters. And also I think with the 5th of April coming up, the end of the tax year, a lot of people seem to be coming forward now, realizing that they've not been doing it right. Whether that's because they've been prompted or they've found something online that has prompted them to sort of realize they've been doing it wrong. So I definitely think the end of the tax year is a reason why people are coming forward now.
You think about tax, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
And will the Let Property campaign online be changing with HMRC as well soon, will it? Or has that already changed?
So it hasn't changed yet. HMRC haven't confirmed anything just yet, but usually around sort of the beginning of April, they will add the next tax year into the Let Property campaign. So it would then go up to the 5th of April 2024 as the last year in the Let Property campaign. Obviously, it's not been confirmed yet, but in a few weeks' time, hopefully by the time we do our next video like this, they should have confirmed it. And then it will be a case of getting up to 2024 in the Let Property campaign and doing 2025 as a tax return.
Yeah, okay, great. And is there anything else we've been noticing in the Let Property campaign world lately?
So there's been a few sort of new types of inquiry letters that seem to be cropping up. So we've had a few people approach us who've had sort of an inquiry letter from HMRC that has been a bit different to the ones that we've seen in the past. So there's one example where someone was asked to give all the details of their own property as well as their rental one, whereas in the past it was just the rental one, which is a bit of a strange way for HMRC to ask these questions because their own property is not really relevant unless they have rented it before. So it's a bit of a strange inquiry letter that they've now added, but it's clear that they have started doing different types of inquiries now. And it'll be interesting to see how many different versions there are, because at the minute we're only aware of a few of them, but there might be more out there that we're not aware of yet.
Yeah, there was one I saw the other week that actually mentioned that we can go back longer than 20 years if we want to. I thought, oh, that's a new tactic, because they mostly go back to 20 years, don't they? But there was a definite, sort of like suggestion that if they wanted to, they could go back further than 20 years, which is quite right. They do have that right if they felt that there was something quite fraudulent going on, I'll be honest. But for most it is limited to the 20 years, isn't it? So one of the questions I got asked actually the other day is, are all accountants equal when it comes to the Let Property campaign?
Are they all equal?
Mm.
They're not all equal. Obviously, some will have way more experience than others. At Marslands, we've been doing this since it was first introduced, so we've got a lot of experience compared to a lot of accountants out there. Obviously, that the same goes with sort of fee quoting and stuff like that. Some accountants might quote you a lot cheaper than, say, for example, us. However, they might not have the experience in dealing with the Let Property campaign and know sort of the penalties and how the interest and everything works. So it's a double-edged sword, really. You can't you have the experience there with which might come with an extra cost, but also that experience should help you get through the process a lot better than an accountant who's never done it before,
Yeah,
who's quoting you cheap.
yeah, no, to be honest, and there was somebody once said to me actually, you wouldn't go to your GP to have brain surgery performed. So I think that's quite a good analogy, really. I don't think you should go to an
Yeah,
ordinary accountant to get the Let Property campaign performed, because we've had one or two situations where other accountants have done it for clients or not done it, sometimes as the case may be, and then somebody's come to us as a client later saying, can you please sort out this
yeah,
mess for us? So yeah, so it is something we do specialize in, and we hope that people understand that that's why we do charge maybe slightly higher than an ordinary accountant, but we do appreciate the work that goes into this, and it does get more complicated the higher rate taxpayer you are, I'll be honest. So because you've got to remember, sometimes we have to go back 20 years on this, so the tax rates have changed a lot over that 20-year period, So yeah. Moving on. How's the rejections been going lately?
so we've We've been getting more people accepted than we have done in previous months. They went through a phase where everyone was getting rejected, but recently it's mainly been sort of issues with client information that we've received. So the main ones really in the past few months that we've had have been people getting rejected due to sort of pension figures being incorrect that we've based our calculations off. So HMRC will come back to us and say, "Oh, we're not sure how you've got this calculation." And then when they've sent us their version of the calculations, we've noticed like the pension figures are different to what we had. So I think one thing to take away is the importance of providing us with accurate information to be able to help make sure it gets done first time. Because I've noticed a lot of the ones that are getting rejected are mainly due to people who've provided sort of figures that aren't necessarily correct to what they actually received in those years. So yeah, I would definitely say it's best to make sure your information is correct when you send it to us so that we can try and ensure as much as possible that it gets accepted rather than rejected.
Yeah. Okay. Was there another rejection as well that you mentioned recently too?
Yeah, so we had a client where they had declared some of their property income in the past, but not all of it. So when we declared the rest of that income to HMRC, they just changed the figure that they had to what we'd put on the form rather than added it on top of it.
Okay.
So they were saying our calculations were wrong and out by like £4,000 when they just weren't. It's just because they hadn't added it on top of what was already there.
Oh.
So once we discussed it with them, they quickly accepted it because they realised their mistake. But yeah, it's a bit of a communication thing with HMRC and them not really understanding what's changed.
No, I get that. Yeah. So moving on. Oh, testimonial now. Have we a client testimonial? Oh my God, Thomas, we have had the most amazing testimonial, haven't we? Actually, I have to say, and that's how it starts. Oh my God, Thomas, this is fantastic news. You have made my day, my year, my everything. All the stress has left me. I am sending you, Michelle, and the whole team a lovely gift as a small token of my appreciation. That is amazing. And actually, I thanked that client personally, and they said, I can imagine how hard you all work, and what Thomas has done for me is truly a gift. I mean, to be fair, that is like, that just makes my week, my everything as well, to be honest, to get such a lovely review for you, for you particularly on that case. But, it just shows how much we can help change everybody's lives.
Yeah, definitely. It's really nice to hear things like that, especially when like some of these clients are extremely stressed and they've been like thinking of all the worst case scenarios in their heads. And yeah, when you get a good result on cases like this, it's really nice to hear this like kind of feedback and how much of an impact you have made on them.
Yeah. And that's what we want to do. We want to help more people make such a huge impact, don't we? That is what we are trying to do. This is why we spend this time every month just making sure we can update people of where we are at the moment and things like that, So because we want to make sure we can help as many people as possible, sort of like we do a lot of videos, we do a lot of, lots of things going on. We've created forms online and everything. But the key is we want to try and help as many people as possible. And if we can get to those people, those landlords before HMRC does, that's like a bit of a bonus in my book.
Yeah.
Basically, the more we can save, the better, really. And if we can save them before they get to an inquiry, it's even better because the accountancy fees aren't even allowable in an inquiry until you pay them. So sort of it's all these little things that we sort of like, we just want to help people out. So we have a success guarantee, don't we, Thomas? Have we paid
Yep.
out on it yet or not? I keep trying to pay out on it, but we haven't yet, I don't think, have we?
No, so we haven't yet. So our success guarantee is that we will save clients more in tax than the fee they pay us. So like we discussed earlier with the client who paid 4,000 plus VAT and saved them 10,500, that's a great example of the success guarantee. In the event that we weren't to save you more tax than the fee you paid us, so say we saved you 2,000 and you paid us 3,000, you would only pay us the amount we saved you, so the 2,000. It's completely that is our success guarantee. So if that was to be the case, then we would honour that. But luckily at the moment, we've not had anyone that's been the case for, because every client we've worked on so far, we've saved them more than what they paid us.
Yeah, well, I did think we had one the other week, but it looks like actually we've already saved them more than they're going to pay us. So I keep trying, trying to find somebody that we have to pay it back out on. But we've been doing this now for 10 years on that, and we still haven't, paid out on that one. So, but yeah. So if somebody wants to get hold of Marslands, what's the best way of getting hold of us?
So the best way of getting hold of us is by filling out our inquiry form. So on marslands.co.uk, on our homepage, we have a Make an Inquiry Now button. So once you click that button, you've just got to fill out some basic information about your situation. And when you've done that, it will provide you with a quote, and also a link to book a discovery call with one of our team members. In that discovery call, we can't discuss anything advice-wise. We can only sort of answer basic questions that that we can. We're not legally allowed to give advice until you are signed up as a client, but we'll try our best to help you on that discovery call, and also to just go through everything with you and get a final quote there.
So that
And
people
that's
can
sort of the
understand
main
the
point of
system, what
contact.
happens next, how we can help them, just to make sure all the information is correct. We do get some people trying to call us, don't we? But the first thing we do ask them to do is to fill out their form, even if they want to fill out us to help them fill out the form, just because we're going to have to ask them all that information anyway. So it just makes it a bit easier, because they might not be able to find everything straight away. Just makes it a bit easier for us, really, if they can fill out the form first, because that makes life, much easier. We've got the information, then we can go through that at the discovery call, and we can hone down your quote to the more exact figure based on the information you've now given us. Because there is a lot of confusion, especially when you are going back 20 years. We realise that you might not understand everything you need to understand at that point. So that's why we go through that with discovery call. And if you're happy to go ahead once you've got a decent quote, the actual fixed quote, then we can book the onboarding call with you afterwards. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and then we can help you. So this is what the Let Property campaign talk is all about. Then we can help you normally over the next 3-month period, is how long roughly it takes, isn't it, between when you sign up and when it needs to be submitted to HMRC. But there can be a shorter deadline, and we can deal with that as well, can't we? We're very good at dealing with shorter deadlines. We prefer not to, but we are good at doing it as well. So we always go out of our way where possible to help our clients. So, excellent. Thank you, Thomas. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Yep.
Time to shine.
Keep